Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be on this, the third rock from the sun, that you are able to tap into the higher vibrations that are always all around you. Regardless of the crazy stuff going on in the planet, regardless of the social injustice and the calls for justice, in spite of the lack of apparent peace, I want you to understand and realize that peace is always there for you to tap into at any given moment. You can always choose a higher vibration, a better emotion. You could always choose to walk away from fights. You can always choose to live at a higher level and a higher vibration. Even if you are choosing to go to the peaceable protests, obviously not the riots, because that's probably not anybody's plan is to ever really start a riot, except those people in the government who have chosen to pretend to be the protesters and turn into riots, to turn it into a whole thing, because those are people that are not choosing their highest good or the highest vibration. But even if you're in a protest, you can still choose the highest vibrational pattern. Even in that, you could choose the energy of love. That's the easiest way. Just pick the highest octave of love that you can imagine in that moment. Imagine maybe a dog wagging its tail waiting for you to come home, and how much you love that feeling of having someone there to greet you and give you love, hugs and kisses. Today we opened up our door and I heard Blackie, one of the wolf dogs. She was outside and barking at somebody, and I called her name, and she was so overjoyed and happy that I called her name that she ran as fast as she could. She blew through my door and ran around in a big circle through the living room and the kitchen and the dining room, and just like have the biggest smile on her face, and her little tail was wagging so fast. And then she ran outside and just started hopping up and down, just so happy that she had somebody to call her name. These are dogs that they don't belong to anybody. They are their own sovereign beings, and they have about 6 or 7 houses that they go to every day. But at the end of the day, they're always guarding my door. And they were doing that before we moved in, so it's not just us being singled out. Although I've gone to places all over, several countries, and everywhere I go, if there's a dog that sees me, usually that dog is my guardian. I don't know why this happens. It's pretty cool that it does. And I've been really grateful for it. Either I have a dog or a cat. Always. Some animals always there kind of guarding me. But that's what you get when you are an animal trainer in heaven. We all have our specialties and things we do on the other side. And that's one of the things I do, is I train animals, mostly the big scary animals like grizzly bears and tigers and mountain lions and polar bears, especially polar bears. And I train them how to stay away from humans and how to act scary if humans are near them. And they all learn pretty well because they can be pretty scary. They're pretty formidable, but they're doing it only to protect themselves. Because when they're in heaven, they're very sweet. They're like our friends. Animals could talk to us. And you would know this if you have ever had any kind of a dream in which an animal speaking to you in English or whatever your preferred language is, because that's real. That's real. They're really there, and they really do speak to us, and they are our friends. Then when we're here, and you can hear Blackie barking in the background, but when they're here, obviously they don't speak English, except birds do. A lot of birds, especially the little budgies, if you learn how to listen to their little tiny squeaky voices, you can actually hear them speaking in English. It's pretty cool. You could go to YouTube and check it out. Look up Budgie Speaks English. Ravens also speak English. A lot of birds have the ability to speak in human language, not just English. I'm sure they speak in other languages as well. So there has been a lot of research done on it, and it's pretty crazy when you realize that not only do they learn human language as well as their own, but they can speak to us. A lot of times we just don't hear it because we don't imagine it's possible. Anyway, getting back to the main topic of this talk is no matter what you're doing, it's always possible to choose the highest vibration in any given moment. So if you're worried about the state of the world, and a lot of us are, just realize that if we just choose love, love or above, as Christy Marie Sheldon puts it, anything that is happening in the world, you have to understand that everything happens for a reason. God has the whole world in his hands or her hands, however you wish to view God. And everything is for the benefit of all, and it's all going to be okay. Egg Bach, everything's going to be okay. I've said that several times before, and I even told you about the story of my grandmother finding a little pin, a little button that said Egg Bach, and she was always saying that, and then one day she kind of lost hope, and she didn't think anyone would remember her birthday. And she didn't, that was actually two visits to the mall. One was that she was worried about her life and about everything. And she shows up to the mall and she was in kind of a bad mood. She thought maybe shopping would help her, just walking around, talking to people would help her feel better. And this woman handed her an Egg Bach button. Like a metal button that has like a little needle across the back that you could kind of pin into your sweater or shirt. And anyway, my grandma was like, "What's Egg Bach?" And the lady says, "Everything's gonna be okay." That's what it stands for. And that was in the beginning of the Egg Bach movement, and it's still around. You can look it up on Google. It's an actual movement. It's just people have always said that everything's gonna be okay. But then when they started that, and I think there was t-shirts, for a while it was all over the place, at least in Southern California. And it made my grandma feel happy. And then another week later, it was right before her birthday, which was always July 22nd. And she was really feeling like no one's going to remember her birthday. No one had mentioned it. She was feeling kind of down about it. Her husband my grandpa never mentioned it to her, and everyone was planning stuff for her, but nobody had mentioned it yet. And it was getting close down to the wire, and she's like, "Oh man, no one's gonna remember me and my birthday. I just know it. I just felt it." She was telling me this, and again, like she did, she went to the mall, hoping to walk around and maybe feel a little bit better. And she was in a mopey mood, and she walked around the mall, and it was okay, but she's still worried. And she got out to the parking lot, and right next to her car was another button, the kind that you pin into a shirt or a coat, and it said July 22. She's like, are you kidding me right now? God remembered my birthday, and God just gave me the greatest gift. God remembered my birthday, and here it is on a pin, and it was red, and the letters were black, and red is, of course, the July birthstone is ruby, so it's a red color, and it's a ruby red. And she called me, she said, she was thrilled, she was laughing. She's like, you're not going to believe what just happened to me. I found this button right in the middle of the parking lot, like right next to my car. And I looked around and no one else was near my car. There were no other cars near my car. So I know that this was a sign from God for me. And my first birthday gift I got a week early, and I got it from God himself. And for her, for the rest of her birthday week, or the week leading up until her birthday, she felt like, you know what? It doesn't matter if no one else remembers my birthday. God created me and he knew my birthday, and he remembered me. And that's all I needed to know. And of course, we all, got her. I don't know if I bought her a card that year, but I know my mom got her something if I wasn't there that year. I lived in Minnesota at the time, so I always tried to fly out in July before my grandma's birthday, so we could always celebrate her birthday. And sometimes I went, like kind of before my birthday in August, so that, we could have my birthday together. But usually it was July. I was always with my grandma for her birthday if I could. But it was nice because it was a friendly reminder from her creator that she is important, and to always have that higher vibration energy in mind. Don't doubt that someone's going to forget your birthday, or everyone's going to forget, because something's going to happen that you're going to be reminded that you are loved, you are important, you are special. And if you're in that higher vibrational flow, that's when you're going to have more of those awesome coincidences. My grandma had other moments in her life where sometimes she would be worried about money, and then she would just say a little prayer and come across $20 on the ground or $40 on the ground, and it always paid for that extra thing she felt guilty about buying. I mean, she was a shopper, and I did get that from her. I'm the queen of deals, at least in my family. That's what they call me. I mean, seriously, I will find a $40 sweater that's marked down to $5, nothing wrong with it, and people are like, "That's amazing. How did you do that?" It's like I have a radar for these deals, and it's just, I got that from my grandma. But there have been many, countless occasions in my life that I know on the moments that I didn't feel so good, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm just take a step back, take a deep breath, say a little prayer, and things always work out for the best. They always do. There's never a reason for them not to work out for the best. Even when things are working out what it seems to be the worst, sometimes maybe there's a set of circumstances that it seems like one thing after another, and it gets bad, and then that leads to stress and fighting in your relationship. The relationship breaks up. I mean, how many times have you ever had a relationship break up? Whether it was a friendship or your boss telling you it's time and we're letting you go, or whatever. But how many times did it happen that there was a set of circumstances leading up to that moment? It's never like your life is great, and then boom, out of nowhere. Usually there's like a series of things, right? Maybe you got a ticket and you couldn't afford it, and you guys were fighting over money, and then something else happens, and then fighting again, and then the breakup, right? Sometimes it's circumstances out of your control. But the reality of that is it's the universe pretty much helping you move along when you knew to move along. We always kind of know it's time It's time. This relationship is dead. It's time we call it. Time to death stamp that sucker and move on. A lot of times somehow we know it's over, but there's always those circumstances that if you can't do it, you feel guilty. You're like, oh, I can't leave that job, that friendship, I love that person. We have nothing in common and they're toxic for me, but I still love them and I'm still trying. But then something will come along and happen, and all of a sudden it's just like the universe is like, oh my God, I can't with this already. And they rip the Band-Aid off, right? Whoever they are. The masters of time and space, I don't know. But it just seems like all these circumstances line up, and then it's just like, oh, that's it, forget it. It's over. And sometimes the universe will put you in a position for things to break up. And it's because your highest good is always important, and the highest good of all the people around you is always important. And when you're a little bit of a chicken and you can't stop that thing that needs to be stopped in your life, the universe will do it for you. You can't make a decision, the decision will be made for you. It always happens that way, but it's always for your benefit every single time. Now, have you ever had a breakup where 6 years later, 10 years later, you look back and go, that was the best relationship I ever had, whatever happened? Probably not. You're probably looking back on that going, oh, thank God it didn't work out. Now that I know what I know, that person was a narcissist, or that person was taking advantage of me, or that job was really terrible. Or whatever the circumstance is, that was not for your benefit, and that's why it ended. That's usually the case. Or the case is you went there into that friendship or relationship or circumstance, and it was for a temporary situation to learn a spiritual lesson or to go through a quick little karmic play, and then it's over after that. The universe always has got your back. And so it's easier for you and for me, for all of us, if we could always choose the highest vibrational circumstance that or emotion that we can in that moment. Just like when, I heard the dog barking, I called her name, she came running in as happy as possible. I mean, she was so happy. And then she ran back out. She didn't really want to be inside, but she wanted to say hello. And that was her, and she knew I was scolding her for screaming, barking her head off at the guy who was delivering my pizza. It really was, one of those moments. It was like serendipitous, because I felt her love, and she came in and she broke up the patterns in here. She broke up, there was I don't know what the heavy energy was exactly, but there was a little bit of a heavy energy. And she came in and it's just like she just wagged her tail, and somehow, like a magic wand, she took away all the negative energy. And it wasn't that negative in here, but there was a heaviness, and she broke it up. I'm like, wow, she just busted some patterns in here. My son's like, yeah, she lightened the mood. Even though he and I were getting along, everything was great between us. It was something like, wow. And it reminded me that it's necessary always to choose the highest vibration. There was that pattern energy, and my son and I were feeling it. But it wasn't until she came in and changed the energy of the room. Oh yeah, there's that higher vibration. We needed that. It was very cool. I woke up this morning with just a very high vibration. My legs and my feet and my hands were vibrating so high that, again, with that energy of like a cell phone going off inside my bones, felt like my bones rattling inside my body, because I was having excellent dreams while I was asleep. I don't remember what they were when I woke up, but my whole body was glowing with this high vibrational energy. And it made me very happy. It put me in a very sublime mood for the whole day, actually. And I'm like, yeah, there it is. There's that wave, and I'm choosing to ride the crest of the highest wave of vibratory energy that I possibly can. So that's my friendly reminder to you that no matter what your circumstance, even if you're worried about money, and a lot of us are these days, just be aware that the world is going to never disappoint you, no matter what you're thinking about. Now, if you're always thinking about negative stuff and you expect that you're going to be in, say, a car accident and you can't stop thinking about it, well, the world is not going to disappoint you. The universe will put you into the situation where you will have an accident, right? And if that's the highest vibration you can muster up, you're going to get what you think about. What you think about, you bring about, right? And what you focus on expands. So if you focus on being so thrilled and overwhelmingly overjoyed with extra money randomly flowing your way, it's going to happen. And when you are focused on love and friendships coming into your life, that's going to happen too. And I started playing binaural beats at night for wealth and love to flow into my life. And the funniest thing happened today. My landlady, who we've only been renting, we're coming up on our 4th month, okay? So we've been here 3 months, getting ready to pay rent for the 4th time. And I've only seen her in person maybe 4 times, a couple of times the first month, and then maybe like a month ago or something. And she comes here to visit her best friend who lives in this little Ciudadela, which is like a gated community. But she's the sweetest person, and every now and again we'll talk on WhatsApp, but she's a very sweet person. And today she sent me a voice message, and she was saying how great it was to hear from me, and she said what she had to say about, we were talking about the rent. I'm like, it's due on Saturday, but I don't want to go to the bank early morning Saturday. I'm not a morning person, so I'd rather pay it Friday afternoon or Monday, depending on her brother's schedule. And I always have her brother drive me instead of a taxi, because he has her mother's bank account memorized, and he also has all of my bills. He's like minding my business with me, like for me, just because he's protecting his sister and his mom, but he's also a very sweet person. So on his phone, he keeps like all the numbers for all of my bills, because you have to pay your bills at the bank, and which is really cool, very convenient. And so he keeps it all on his phone. He knows all of my information, so that when I go, he just tells the bank teller, call up these accounts, and then bada boom, bada bing, I pay everything. And then he tells her, just from his own memory, he knows his mom's bank account, and then we give him the rent, and the rent gets deposited, and that's it. And so I said, well, it depends on your brother's schedule. You know, if he says Friday, we'll do it Friday, otherwise maybe Monday. And she's like, that's fine, just Monday's fine, anytime. And then her brother wrote me and said Monday's when it is. So, all right, rent's going to be late two days. And she said, that's fine. And the funniest thing happened. She, at the end of her message, her voice message to me, she says, all right, I'm so glad to hear from you, and I hope you take care and stay safe, and I love you guys. I'm like, wow, I love her too so much, I do, but it's so funny because we hardly know each other. So it's funny when a stranger, practical stranger, you've met this person, 3 or 4 days of your whole life, and I won't say whole days, I mean like 10 minutes. I've known her in person less than an hour of my whole life. And she says, I love you. And I laughed so hard. I was like, oh my God, she's so cute. I mean, she's got the best personality, and she's just adorable. But I love her too. I love everyone on the planet, and you should too. If you want to open up your 11th chakra, that is. That's the secret. Actually there's the 10th chakra anyway. In order to have all 12 chakras opened, you have to have the one chakra opened up that is basically your foundation. It's the one that hooks you to the planet energetically. And that's the chakra that keeps you vibrating very, very high. If you love everyone on the planet, regardless of what they do, then your 12th chakra can open, and that connects you with the universe. So anyway, just keep going towards that higher vibrational energy. I met a man online. He contacted me on Instagram because of something I said on somebody's post, and he is a scientist. He is a high school biology teacher, and he I think he has Arabic as his first language, and then his second language is Farsi, and his third language is English, right? And so we're talking all the time. His English is actually really good. Every now and again, like maybe once out of every 10 conversations, I go, well, that's a little off, that word. Your English is good, but there's let's do this little tweak, right? And he's like, oh, thank you, because he's always trying to get his English really, fluent. So he and I talk a lot, and the other day he told me a very disturbing thing. He said, I'm a high school biology teacher in Iran. And, it's not his country. He's from Egypt originally, but he wanted to be in Iran. The culture, the food is really good. I know about the food because I've met a lot of Persians in my life, and I used to attend the Persian mosque over in Oakland, California. But he told me he only makes $1,000 per year. But he has enough to live, and he's okay. And like, how the hell? He said, yeah, when you translate the money here to the United States dollar, it's $1,000 per year. And I'm like, but you're worth so much more than that. Oh my God. So the other day I was going through some job listings to kind of get a feel for who I'm going to apply with, what companies are hiring right now and whatnot for, teaching English. And I came across a high school biology teacher position, and it was like, I don't know, $3,000 or something a month. And I told him about it. And I said, let me go look on the website. I looked on the website, and actually I found one in Dubai for $4,500 American money per month as a high school biology teacher. And he's like, oh my God, that's incredible. Like, he had no idea he can make that much money. I'm like, look, you have the college degree, you have the experience, and those are the things they look for. And you also speak Arabic fluently because obviously you're Egyptian. So he was, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but he's like, wow, that's really incredible, right? And I think even though his circumstance, he's struggling with money, he even told me today, he's like, I don't even have $2,000 to my name. He's like, and he's laughing about it. Because I think when he was in Egypt, he made more money. But he enjoys living where he lives. And he enjoys teaching the kids that he's teaching. But I think he's looking for a change. And I think something about his energy, even though he doesn't say so, I know he's reaching for the next rung up somehow in his life. And I think he's getting ready to move to another country. But he doesn't know where. And when I mentioned this to him, it's like, wow, I just opened up your possibilities. You could go from $1,000 a year to $48,000 per year, pretty much doing the same job. And he can have the opportunity to teach either in English or in Arabic because they speak both in Dubai, especially in high school, right? Just like in China, and I told him you could even, in China, you can work for $3,300 is what I found a job for him. And he's like, well, I don't speak Chinese. I go, well, that's the thing, is people like me come along and teach Chinese children English. By the time they get to high school, you could teach it either in Mandarin or in English because they already know English by the time they get to high school. They have an excellent, at least from the language standpoint. I don't know about the rest of their education, but in China, they're very educated. And they also value education, and that's why the salaries in China are so much higher. It's crazy, right? So, it's funny that I could buy something in China, like if I was going to buy a t-shirt on, say, Wish, the t-shirt might be $5 or $6. If I buy a t-shirt in the United States, it's $20. And the t-shirts are practically the same. Maybe a different material, but, t-shirt's a t-shirt, right? And so it's funny, like the value in the U.S., the teachers get paid less, than t-shirt manufacturers. But in China, the teachers get paid more than people who make t-shirts. They put more value on the education. So I thought that was a weird observation I made. But I kept putting my emphasis in my life the past 2 weeks on the highest vibrational outcome, and my son and I have been talking about this. And we have noticed in our lives how we both now have gotten more and more positive, and things are working out, at least in very tiny ways, but they're significant, because everything that works out a little bit more in our favor keeps going up, up, up in our energy, and it raises our energy fields. And I know it can happen for you too. So regardless of the circumstances, I think that we can go up, up, up in vibration. So, but this does lead me to something else that doesn't seem as positive, and I don't know why this is what's happening, but it is. So we're going to try to unravel the highest vibration in this circumstance. We all know that this is an election year in the United States, and there's Trump. We already know what he's about. He's like super positive in every circumstance, no matter what, which is weird. And even when he's negative, he's always trying to turn that around into a positive. And he always thinks he's in the right, so he's always happy, which is very strange. He could say the most racist crap in the world and still somehow turn that into a positive vibration for himself, which is insane for the rest of us, but for him it works, right? So, but we know his situation, right? He's a narcissist. He thinks he's always right, and that makes him happy. He's like an ignorant toddler. So we know that's the situation. And then there's this Biden thing that's been bugging me for a long time, several weeks now, since I started. Someone pointed out the kid sniffing thing. You could go look up kid sniffer, Creepy Joe. Just look that up on Google. I'm sure you'll find videos of him literally sniffing little girls' hairs. It's really creepy. And I'm like, okay, so he picks Kamala Harris, which I didn't know much about her. I didn't look too much into it. If I had to pick a woman to be president in the U.S., it would probably have to be AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I love her dearly. She's not old enough to be the president yet, though. So we're hoping, someday, yes. I want AOC for president someday. But I thought, well, maybe Kamala Harris is good. I know she's a woman of color. I didn't know what her background or circumstance exactly was. But I'm like, hey, she is a woman of color, and she's a woman, so great choice, right? Well, today my son had done a lot of digging into her because we don't know much about her. And so I was really happy that my son was able to do the research. It turns out she has a very dark history. Very weird with her somehow defending the rapists and pedophiles in the Catholic Church in California. Not a good look for anybody. And another thing was that she has she was a cop. That's also not a good look with all of the Black Lives Matter protests going on around the U.S. And here we have an ex-cop who is running. I don't know. I can't. She's not a cop now, but it kind of freaks me out. And another thing is someone who was opposing her campaign a long time ago when she was running to be, what is she, a senator or representative? I think she's a senator. And when she was running, this person was putting a damper on her campaign, and he was arrested for murder, and he was innocent. He didn't do anything, and he was put in jail for over a year. He just won his lawsuit against the state of California. He won $13 million because he actually did not murder anybody, and he was imprisoned falsely, and it was her fault. So these are things that I don't like. I can't vote for her. I really can't. Can't vote for Dump. Trump, Dump, whatever. I can't vote for him, and I can't vote for her. I definitely can't vote for a kid sniffer. So I don't know what these circumstances, why the universe is throwing this in everybody's path in the United States right now. But I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that we cannot trust governmental people, right? Regardless of who they are, generally speaking. Although AOC, I've got high hopes for her, as well as Erhan. What is that her first name or last name? Now I don't know. Now I'm blanking on. I see her face and her hijab, but now I can't think of her name. Anyway, I have high hopes for her too, actually. And there are a few people, like a handful of people, that are good in the government. The rest of them, I don't trust. I don't trust any of them. And I was wondering, why would Kamala want to run with him? Obviously, to be vice president. Okay, great. But then when I heard what I heard about her today, somehow not prosecuting, dropping the case against the pedophile priests, the rapists, serial rapists in the church, and she dropped, as a cop too, or former cop, she dropped it. So anyway, look into it, vote your conscience, or whatever you need to do with this. But maybe it's more of a thing where we have to learn to trust God. We have to just trust the spiritual nature of the universe and trust the universe. Maybe this is a wake-up call for everybody. Look, we can't trust the government. It's time that falls. It's time we kind of separate ourselves from this relationship, right? Whatever form that takes. And my son was telling me that in record numbers, people have started to renounce their American citizenship. I haven't looked into this one myself, but he said that he found an article online today and he was shocked about it. He said he honestly does not mind giving up his American citizenship because he's just like, I don't want to be a part of that situation anymore, that the government is terrible. And I'm like, well, they do charge us, if we have a job anywhere in the world, we still have to pay our government money. How does that make sense? How is that fair? It's not. I don't even live there. I don't even really, I do pay my house taxes because I own a house there. But I don't really see how, I have to still pay for roads and schools, but I'm in another country here. And by the way, if I make money here in this country, I also have to pay taxes here. It's crazy. If I lived in Italy, I'd have to pay 75% of my money to the Italian government and 25% of my money to the American government for taxes, which is 100% of my money. So I don't have any money for me at all if I live in Italy. I couldn't pay my bills if I lived there because all my money, 100%, would go to two different governments. That's not fair, right? I mean, they tax foreigners like crazy. That's why you always have to have a job outside of the country, online. Like if I'm working in China over the internet, I do not owe the Chinese government any taxes because I'm not there. Because that makes sense, right? But the United States government wants me to pay taxes. So I don't know. I've used to have a blind faith in the government and in, police being good people. I mean, I grew up in an era in which Chips was the best show ever. Emergency was the best show ever. Dragnet was a hilarious show, but one of the best shows ever. All these shows that showed us that our institutions are sound and good, and everyone has a right and moral obligation to be living from a place of integrity and heart. And yet that's not what our country is now, is it? Not anymore. And it's not just the United States. Around the world, people are noticing that their government doesn't have their best interest in mind. They don't take anything to heart because they don't have one. So I'm looking at this, and what is the highest vibrational takeaway of this? And I think that maybe it is that we have to put our trust in a higher power. Whether we believe in God or not, whether we just want to call it the universe, whatever it is, the higher power above us, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you, whatever the word is that you call it. Maybe it's just that you have to put your faith and trust in yourself and in your higher guidance, in your own spirituality. And maybe that's what the takeaway from this is. We have to somehow separate ourselves from those people that we would say these are our representatives. Are they really? Are they though? I don't really think that Kamala Harris speaks for me ever. I've liked a couple of her speeches in the past, but now that I know some of her sordid history, I kind of feel like, no, sorry. I cannot get behind either candidate, and I'm sorry because I can't vote this time. I didn't vote last time either. And I've been somebody who has been working on campaigns before I was even old enough to vote. I worked on Ronald Reagan's campaign, and then I became a Democrat a few years later. And then I became a Green Party member a few years after that, and I've always voted Green. Except I think I voted for Bill Clinton once, and I did vote for Al Gore, and I did vote for Obama. So mostly I have voted Green though, my whole adult life, because that's where my set of values lie. No more death penalty, organic food for everybody, healthcare for everybody. $1 million for everyone who has a baby. I'm just kidding. Yeah, speaking of that, I don't know if you guys have heard Kanye West's insane speeches, but it's really a sad state of affairs when he is the best choice out of all the people running. And he's a little on the crazy side. $1 million if you have a baby. That was what he said. That was his proposal. That's a platform he's running on. I mean, you can't do that. It's too much money. I mean, that would break the government. Maybe that's what needs to happen, though. I don't know. He doesn't really know a lot about his history or the history of the U.S. He's said some wild statements that just aren't true. But it's funny, and he's kind of an insane person. And, God bless him. I pray for him a lot, actually. But it's funny when he's the only person who's worth voting for out of the three people, and he's wildly crazy. Like, just crazy. He's crazy. He's his own special brand of crazy. I think he's got, I don't know, I think he's under investigation for something my son said too. I can't remember what for, but probably because of his donors. It's like the Republicans are behind him that don't want to support Trump anymore. The whole thing is kind of nuts. Maybe they're just trying to divide the vote so that Trump gets out of there. But I don't know. They should have just impeached him when they had the chance. It's all their fault, I think. But anyway, the politics stuff has a purpose too. It has a spiritual purpose. So if you want to take away something positive from this, I think that it's to help us turn away from having faith in other humans, especially sleeping humans, not spiritually aware yet. When they are, then it'll be different, but right now they're asleep. So I think that the biggest takeaway for us is that we need to just trust in ourselves, trust in our higher power, trust in the Creator himself. I think that's really what the biggest takeaway for this is. Anyway, we're going to look at spaceweather.com and see what is happening in the galaxy. All right. The current solar wind speed is 285.1 kilometers per second, so that's pretty slow as far as wind speed on the sun. We are still with a sunspot facing us. It's getting ready to go around the bend. I think in the next 48 hours, it should probably disappear to the other side of the sun. We're still in the middle of Perseid meteor showers. Remember, the best time to see them is pretty much after 10 o'clock at night now. And it could be as much as 50 meteors per hour right now. They were saying up to 100 yesterday, but right now worldwide observers have counted 50 meteors per hour. But it is possible that's even more tonight. And they say the best time is to look during the hours right before sunrise, but anytime after 10, you might start to see them, basically. So, let's see here. There is absolutely no coronal holes facing the Earth right now that would release any solar wind. So I think that's a little bit of good news, gives us a break right now. The Ulu neutron counts today are very high. We've had a 0.1% difference in the past 48 hours, a little bit 0.1% more. So we're at 10.2% of the space age average of basically cosmic radiation coming through. That's because the magnetosphere of the sun has been weakened. The magnetosphere of the Earth has been weakened. So we're getting bombarded with a lot of radiation. Could explain my bones vibrating at night and in the morning. But also it's helping us. Our DNA is changing rapidly, and it is, I think, helping us to ascend faster. It's accelerating us. So the network has reported 126 fireballs from NASA's All-Sky cameras and All-Sky Fireball Network. 126 fireballs over the United States. I mean, this is some wild picture. You need to come look at spaceweather.com. I mean, the trajectories of these things. It looks like a peacock feather. Almost exactly like a peacock feather. You'll see what I mean when you see it. But there's 75 Perseids, 44 sporadics, 1 southern Delta Aquarid, and 1 Alpha Capricorniid. That's where the fireballs are coming from the different, just space weather, basically. It's coming from the different comets and... What is a Perseids? That's from a comet, yeah. It's from the Tuttle... I don't know, I said it yesterday, now I can't find it. But they're basically rocks that are falling off of asteroids or comets as they're hurtling through space. Anyway, another bit of space weather news that's not on the space weather website, something I read today, is that they always thought that Ceres was an asteroid. Now they're calling it a small planetoid, and it's got kind of an erratic, it's not really part of our solar system, and yet it kind of is a part of it. It has like a stranger orbit somehow. It doesn't follow the same orbit as all the other planets, and it has been affecting people's astrology charts, and in the past maybe up to 2 decades, people have started to include it in astrology charts. But anyway, they used to think it was an asteroid, but now it's more considered like a very small planet. And NASA has discovered that there is salt water on Ceres and beneath the surface. Like, I think the surface might be ice, but underneath there, it's salty water. So I'm saying maybe, just maybe, somehow it might be harboring life. Pretty exciting stuff. I love all the new breakthroughs recently that we have discovered. I think that's pretty cool. There's also been an earthquake inside the Atlantic Ocean, and it's got a very strange shape to it, and scientists were noting it this week, and I would like to go back and see when it happened and what was happening with the Schumann Resonance that day, and also what has happened with the solar winds, as well as was that the day that we had the small CME hit the Earth, because usually these things, space weather, has affected earthquakes on the planet, and it's more of a new field, but they're starting to see a correlation. So I wanted to throw that out there if anyone wants to do the research, if you can find out that if all these things happened on the same day or within 24 hours, if the earthquake happened within 24 hours of the small CME hitting, or actually it was a C-class flare that hit us a few days ago. I wonder if it's not coincidental. So let me know if you do research on that. So the Schumann Resonance today is at power 64. That's 64 hertz frequency in Italy, according to disclosurenews.it. And we don't have for today, but from about a day and a half ago, we do have some numbers here on heartmath.org. California was at the 2300 hour of Monday, August 10th. California was at 126 hertz frequency. And Hafuf, Saudi Arabia, as well as Alberta, Canada, were both at 0 hertz frequency. And Lithuania was at 168 hertz frequency. Northland, New Zealand was at 63 hertz frequency. And last but not least, Honolulu, South Africa, they were at 82 hertz frequency. So out of those, they were all of above 40, which is the fifth dimension, except for Hofuf and Alberta, Canada. They were at 0, and I don't know why it does go down to 0 sometimes. Usually when it hops up, it gets very, very high up there, though. Kind of makes up for it. So maybe there's still kind of, the needles going up and down, and hasn't found a happy medium yet. So I don't know. I say needle, I'm just assuming. I have no idea what the instrumentation looks like. I've never actually seen a Schumann Resonance machine. Magnetometer, I think, is the official scientific word for it. But I'm assuming it's like a needle, but I might be completely wrong on that. And chances are I'm very wrong on that. Again, if any of you have any information on what the instrumentation looks like, I would like to know what kind of machine it is and how does it register. I've heard that it can take thousands of dollars to set up a station. So maybe someday, if I ever have thousands and thousands of dollars laying around, I will probably contact HeartMath and say, hey, I want to have a station here in Ecuador. Tell me what to do. And if they tell me what to do, I will tell you guys the Schumann Resonance news from my little neck of the woods or corner of the globe, as it were. All right. Every day we have been reading one lesson from A Course in Miracles. So you may find these on your own if you want to do further research at acim.org. And that is the website for the Foundation for Inner Peace. So today we're on lesson 354. There are 365 lessons total. So we're getting down to the wire. We've got like 11 more episodes, and then I don't know what I'm going to do in the introduction when we don't have this anymore to read, but maybe this has caused some miracles in your life. I hope so. The more you read these lessons, the more miracles you can receive in your life, apparently. I've met several people who said it completely changed my life, and yes, I did have miracles. So here we go. Let's start with today's lesson. Lesson 354 is this: We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. And in him is his creator, as he is in me. I think he means God is in me. He, meaning God. We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. And in him is his creator, as he is in me. My oneness with the Christ establishes me as your son, beyond the reach of time and wholly free of every law but yours. I have no self except the Christ in me. I have no purpose but his own, and he is like his Father. Thus must I be one with you as well as him. For who is Christ except your Son as you created him? And what am I except the Christ in me? We stand together, Christ and I, in peace and certainty of purpose. And in him is his creator, as he is in me. Again, that's lesson 354. So I'm going to take a quick break, guys, and when I come back, I'm going to do a pendulum dowsing session. We're going to ask God about the state of the world. And it's funny, this lesson I just read pretty much does point out that, you know what, all the laws, none of that matters. Only connect with your creator, the universe, the Christ inside of you, your higher self. It's funny, I didn't even read this lesson until just now, so I love when it kind of dovetails together. Isn't that awesome? And I told you guys, I do connect with God in a way that God and I are always hooked together, like we're always linked. And I hear his thoughts. If I think about something, I wonder about something, I hear his voice telling me the answer. It's pretty cool. And if you want to have the circumstance in your life, all you have to do is say these words. They're very magical and also very practical, because I'm a Virgo, after all, as well as a Heyoka lightning shaman and light worker, light warrior. You just have to say this: hey God, I'd like to be connected with you. That's it. And start asking God questions. Hey God, why is the sky blue? Hey God, I have a question about this. Hey God, why did that person cut me off in traffic? What's going on with them? Hey God, how can I make $1 million? Hey God, I have another question for you. Eventually all the answers are going to come to you. Anyway, that was my final thought. I'm going to come right back in a moment, right after these messages, and we're going to do a pendulum dowsing session for the state of the world right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. So I am sitting here with a list of 10 questions to ask Prime Creator, the Divine, the Universe, God, Goddess, Allah, Jah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call that which created you. Pick your choice. I just say God for lack of, something better for me. Sometimes I say Allah, but that could be politically fueled and charged for some people. For me, I like Allah because it's the all. And when you're connected to that creator of the universe, it kind of gives me that feeling like it is the all and outside of religion, of course. So anyway, so I and my Father are one, as Jesus used to say, and as I feel. And I wrote these 10 questions down, and the first one is about food. And before we get into it, I want to remind you about the onion crisis in the United States. And isn't that a fun metaphor? The layers to it all. But there is a salmonella poisoning alert for onions in the United States, and it did come up today that some of these tainted onions are in salsa. Oh my God, something you didn't think about, right? Something I certainly didn't think about. We don't really have that here. We have to make our own. I mean, it exists, but people make it. It's not just pre-packaged in the store. Hell, it might be. I don't know. I've never seen it. But anyway, if you have Trader Joe's salsa in your fridge, just throw it out or bring it back, get your money back. It's been tainted with salmonella, so just be careful, guys. All right. And I've been worried about like the locusts issue and now this. And the shrimp has been tainted with coronavirus, by the way. I don't know if that's in the U.S. or in China, or I didn't quite catch what shrimp where going to where. It's an import or an export depending on who you are and where you are in the world. But that was another issue, So the first question that I'm going to ask Prime Creator, and right now the pendulum is swinging in the ready to ask position. Okay, God, do I have permission to ask about food in the world? I'm getting a yes. The first question is this: will we, meaning all of humanity, as a collective whole, face a food crisis? Will we, meaning all of humanity as a collective whole, face a food crisis? See, we've been worried about that, and I'm getting a very strong no. Waiting to see if it changes, and the answer is still no. That's good to know, right? Whew, one less thing to worry about. Yeah? All right. So, all right, there's that one. Let's see here. I'm holding my hand. I have a different pendulum than I normally use. I can't find my little turquoise pendulum, which I believe is really howlite painted turquoise color. And howlite is a wonderful stone. And last year I had 2 pendulums, and one of them broke. When a crystal breaks in your presence, it's because it takes a hit energetically for you. And I was really sad because I really loved it. It was like I don't know if you guys have ever seen the gold stone. It's kind of an orangey brown color with gold sparkly points in it. Well, I had a dark blue one. It was like a blue gold stone. I don't know if that's what it's called or not, but it was beautiful. It looked like all of the universe with all the stars in it. It was very beautiful. And it broke last year. So I was left with the turquoise one, or the howlite painted turquoise color one. And that one's disappeared. I always know where it is. I always have it on my nightstand, and it's gone. Now, I think it might be maybe in one of my coat pockets or in my pants pocket somewhere. So I've got to search for it tomorrow. But today I'm using my pendulum that I bought from a very sweet man in Peru, in Nazca, where all the Nazca lines are. And there was this tower that we got to climb to the very top to see the lizard, and there's one other one. And they didn't know. They built the highway right through these lines before they knew the lines were there. And they discovered it, and they're like, oh my gosh. So they built this tower, and you could climb it, and it's very, very windy. You get way up there, and it's like, whoa! You feel like you're going to fall off the tower. It's very rinky-dink. It's very rickety. But it's also very intense. You're in the middle of the desert there in Peru. It's absolutely flat. There's mountains in the background. And I climbed up there, and I wanted to remember the feeling that I had and that energy there. So I bought this crystal that was on a necklace, and it's got like a little red bead and a little glass bead that looks kind of a turquoise color. It's really cool, and it always makes me think of that man who was very sweet and very humble. He said, I make these necklaces myself, and he put this clay on top of the crystal, and when it hardens, it holds it, and that's how he makes the necklace. And his little thumbprint, how adorable. His thumbprint is in the clay. So I always think about him when I see this, and I wear this a lot. I love this necklace, but I just found out it makes an excellent pendulum. So that's what I'm using. Okay, so we're not going to face a food crisis, but I want to touch upon a few more. I didn't write these down, but I want to ask God a few more questions. So, all right, do I have permission to ask about more food? I'm getting a yes. All right, this is the question. The locusts have gone through Africa twice, I think the Middle East, possibly India, as well as England, right? So the locusts, okay. Will there be another swarm of locusts? I'm getting a no. Is this the end of locust season? I'm getting a yes. So I've been really worried about this, guys. So, okay, here's another follow-up question to the food crisis. Will anyone in any part of the world have to resort to eating other humans to stay alive? I'm getting a no. This was a very dark prediction that I think Baba, a very old lady who, she died in 1966 and lived in Bulgaria. And when she was younger, she could see, and then something happened where she got an illness or something, and she went blind. And as is the myth and legend of all blind people, pretty much ever in the history of all movies and TV shows, she became extremely psychic when she went blind. It's really weird, isn't it? It always is the way. So anyway, yeah, it's very weird. She said it, Nostradamus said it, a few other people have said it, and I know in some parts of the world they do eat people, but I don't think as a collective whole we're going to face that. Thank God, right? Okay, I have another follow-up question. So we're not going to turn to cannibalism, right? The answer is no. Actually, I have a weird morality question, God, outside of religion, of course. So, if it came to it and we were all starving, and some people did turn to cannibalism, will their souls, judge them? Will they judge themselves harshly when they get to where they're going? The answer is no. Didn't you guys ever wonder about that? It's kind of weird, right? Are you going to hell because you killed your neighbor and ate them? You because you were hungry? It's just like in all those Warner Brothers cartoons when two men are on a boat together in the middle of the ocean, and one starts looking at the other one, and they turn into a giant roast chicken, and they start drooling because they think they're in the presence of a giant roast chicken. I always wondered, is this going to happen? Is the cannibalism thing going to happen? And are we going to start looking at our neighbors not as human beings, but as a giant roasted chicken covered in herbs and spices and butter? I mean, it's so disgusting, right? But it's something that's been really on my mind. It's been bothering me because a lot of people have been predicting this was going to happen, and I feel like it's super negative, and it looks like no. I do have one follow-up question to the food crisis. It's a more positive question, so here we go. All right, so okay, God, you said we're not going to have cannibalism. Answer is no. And we're not going to have any more locusts. The answer is no. And we're having a little bit of a food crisis and shortage now, but is it going to get better? The answer is yes. All right, God, so now I'd like to know, is the food crisis going to get better because the Pleiadians are going to give us technology soon? Is that one reason why it's going to get better? Actually, I'm getting a no. All right, good. So, is it just going to fix itself, or you're going to help us fix it? Or Mother Earth Gaia will help us fix it? I'm getting a yes. All right, so good. Yay. Yay. All right. And question 2. Will the United States dollar soon become worthless? Will the United States dollar soon become worthless? I'm getting a big no. That's good. All right. Is that my controlling the pendulum? I'm getting a no. All right, cool. No, it will not become worthless. Thank God. All right, because gold has gone up to over $2,000 per ounce, so that means the U.S. dollar has declined or decreased in value. It's not going to ever be worthless, so that's good. All right, so if I get paid and everyone gets paid in United States dollars, is it okay and safe for us to save the money we get? Okay, again a yes. So, all right, it's good to know. Okay. Will the coronavirus crisis end soon? Will the coronavirus crisis around the world end soon? Shit. I'm getting a no on that one, guys. That's the only no. I mean, it's the only one that didn't go the way I had hoped. I'm getting a no, writing that down. That's a no. All right. So the coronavirus crisis is not going to end soon. Do I have permission to ask when it's going to end? And before I ask that question, I'd like to ask, is it possible that there's going to be a vaccination soon that will be effective. It's going in a circle counterclockwise. That means no. All right. When will the coronavirus crisis be over? Do I have permission to ask this? I have a yes. All right. If I was going to imagine the face of a clock beneath the pendulum, where the 1 o'clock position would be 1 month, up to 12 months, 1 through 12. Let me ask first, is it going to take less than a year? No, that's not a way to ask this question. Let's see. You have to be very precise when you ask the pendulum something, guys. It's got to be very much a cut and dry yes and no answer. Because you can't ask an open-ended question, obviously. So, all right, let me rephrase this. Will the coronavirus crisis be over within 1 year? Okay. Will the coronavirus crisis be over within 1 year from today for the whole world? Whew, it started to say no, now it's saying yes. I'm like, damn. All right, so when will the coronavirus crisis be over completely? And we'll use the clock face 1 through 12. How many months will it be? Damn, we were at 5 months, now it's going to 6. When will the coronavirus crisis be fully over? Oh my God, it's going up to 7. Now 8. It's holding at 8 months. And by the way, this is the timeline we're on now. If we hop, it might change, but it's holding at 8, guys. So it looks like the coronavirus crisis will be over in 8 months. That will take into account all the second and third waves. Is that correct? I'm getting a yes on that. All right. Oh my goodness. All right. Using a circle, whereas the 12 o'clock position means 100%, and right next to it on the right hand side, like the first minute of a clock would mean 1%, and 12 would be 100%. Do I have permission to ask what percentage of people in the world today are awake spiritually? Do I have permission to ask this question? I am getting a resounding yes. It's a very big yes. All right, what percentage of people in the world today are awake spiritually? Again, with 1 through 100% on the circle, the imaginary circle I'm drawing in my mind right now. Okay, wow, it's really high up. We're already at 75%. We're already like at 80%. Wow. It looks like we're at like 90%. So what percentage of the people in the world today are awake spiritually? Okay. Is that more than 90%? Was that 90? That says no. Okay, was that more than 90% are awake spiritually? Alright, so, okay, God, this is a question. Are 90% in the people in the world awake spiritually now? 90%. Wow. So it's basically the 10% of the people in the world that are just making it rough for the rest of us. Good to know, right? That's wild. That's bigger than I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be 75 to 80%. All right, the next question, moving right along. it's going to the you may be getting the question now position. Okay. Will there be a third world war in between China and India? Will that take place? I am getting a no. That's good. I don't know about you guys, but has that been weighing on your mind? It certainly has been weighing on mine. I just have to take a breath for that one. I mean, God, that's... thank God. Thank God. All right. Everyone has been saying that the world is ending. Armageddon is at hand. The biblical prophecies are coming true. I mean, the locust part for sure did. I think even the rivers running with blood, turning red like blood, there has been lakes and rivers and parts of the oceans have turned red in the past few months with algae bloom. It's not actually blood. There was actually some kind of a runoff or paint or something, and it did paint a river red recently. There's been a lot of things like that where things turned red. And people are like, aha, biblical prophecy. There it is. But here's the actual question I'm asking right now. Okay, God, is the world actually ending right now? I mean, okay, wait a minute. Let me re-ask. See, caught myself in a bad question there. When you say right now, that means in this very moment. Obviously, not in this very moment, right? So let me rephrase this. Okay, and now it's going to get ready to ask a question position. Now it's stopped. Okay, God, is the world actually ending? Is the world actually ending? We're getting a very strange rotating counterclockwise, but it was on an elliptical. Now we're gaining an absolute circle. Counterclockwise, which means no, the world is not actually ending. Okay. Is the world actually changing form? Is the world actually changing form? Okay, and a no. Okay, so let me rephrase that because maybe I am not asking it correctly. So, okay. Is the whole world going up into the fifth dimension? The answer is yes. Is the world already in the fifth dimension? And I'm getting it clockwise. The other yes was an up and down line, straight line, and now I'm getting it clockwise. Yes. Yes, the world is already in the fifth dimension. So there we go. That's nice. Good to know, right? All right. This is another very important one. Will we, meaning everybody, the collective whole in the United States, as well as the whole world, every country on earth, will we, meaning all of humanity, see universal basic income on our current timeline for everybody? Will we see a universal basic income given to everybody in the world on our current timeline? I'm getting a really big yes, and up and down yes. Okay, good. Okay, do I have permission to ask how many years? Is it going to be less than 1 year when we all get universal basic income? Will it be less than 1 year when universal basic income happens? I'm getting no. So will everyone in the world have a universal basic income in the next 12 years? I'm getting a yes, an up and down yes. Do I have permission to ask when? Okay, on a clock face, 1 to 12, how many years will it be before everyone on the planet has a universal basic income? How many years is that going to be before everyone sees that? 9 years I'm getting. Is that 9 years? I'm getting a yes. Okay, so when will the United States get a universal basic income? Do I have permission to ask this? Getting a yes. When will in the next 12 years, when will the United States of America have a universal basic income for everybody? Wow, really soon, guys. I'm seeing 2 years. It's showing me 2 years. Now it's showing me 1 year. Now it's going back towards 2 years. Now it's kind of going back towards 1.5 years, basically. So is that about 18 months? I'm seeing yes. So apparently that might be introduced in the next 18 months. I think that would have to be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because I don't believe that Trump will win the election. It would be cool if he did the universal basic income in motion, though. Although he wants to do the stimulus check, usually hasn't been very much for the people, but the stimulus check really blew my mind. I'm glad at least he did that. And he's saying he's going to do an executive order for a second one, so universal basic income, I don't know. Probably it'd have to be Democrats in charge doing that, because Trump did say something about taking welfare away, and I think he thinks of universal basic income as welfare. And in a way it is, right? It's welfare for everybody. People who are sick, people who are old, people who just can't find a job because nothing's open because we're in a crisis. Most businesses are shut down and people have lost their jobs. So universal basic income seems like a great idea at this point. So hopefully this is true. But on our current timeline, it looks like in the next 2 years for the United States, in the next 9 years for everyone in the whole world to have a universal basic income. So there we go. All right, here's a really important question on everyone's mind. Number 8. Will the Black Lives Matter movement create good, lasting, and permanent change for all Black people everywhere? Do I have permission to ask this question? Yes, I do. I'm going to repeat the question now. All right, God, will the Black Lives Matter movement create good, lasting, and permanent change for all Black people everywhere? Making my mind a blank because you know what I want the answer to be. So far I'm seeing a yes. Yes. That's good. So it looks like, you guys, the Black Lives Matter movement is going to create good, lasting, and permanent change for all Black people everywhere. Thank you, God. Thank God. Because Black lives do matter, will continue to matter. Thank God it's going to create a situation in which the whole world will see the truth. Okay, so number 9. This is one we've all been waiting for. Okay, Elon Musk wants to know the answer to this. Okay, God, will humans actually colonize Mars? Will humans actually colonize Mars? Making my mind a blank for this one too. Holy crap, I'm getting a yes. Will humans colonize Mars? Well, okay, you guys, I'm going to tell you right now. I, for one, for damn sure, am not going to Mars. I was born on Earth for a reason. I'm going to stay here. I do not want to go to Mars, not with their giant cockroaches and rats. Okay, I don't know what's on Mars, but I could barely handle the creatures here. How am I, not going. Sorry. I mean, if there was a shuttle that would get us there in like an hour, I would go visit people that are up there, just check it out. Then I get back on that damn shuttle the same day, maybe the next day, if the hotels look comfortable. Then I'll come back. But colonizing, living there, no. Ugh, it's just such a weird feeling to me. So some of these questions are weird, I know, but they're things that have been on my mind. They're things I've seen in the news, things I've seen people speculate on, and I've read articles recently on all of these things. So I figured it was about time we did another State of the World Pendulum Dowsing session on this. Okay, so the next question is, will it be a matter of decades before humans colonize Mars? Will it be more than a decade? I'm getting a yes. Do I have permission to ask how many decades it's going to be? Okay, on a clock face from 1 to 12, where 1 is 10 years, 2 is 20 years, 12 is 120 years. How many years is it going to be, or decades will it be, before humans colonize Mars? Oh, okay, well, good. I'm getting 30 years, guys, 3 decades before humans colonize Mars. Alright, so do I have permission to ask when humans are going to Mars? Are humans already on Mars? Are there any humans already on Mars right now that we're not supposed to know about? Okay, I may ask again because it's going kind of... Are there any humans living on Mars right now? Oh, I'm getting a... Oh, see, here's a... Oh. Alright, I gotta need more information on that. And I just realized, we've all heard the story that Corey Goode and a few others have said that humans colonized Mars from Nazi Germany, which is in the 1940s, right? Well, that happened as early as the 1930s, they started. So if they actually secretly, clandestinely went to Mars, those people probably are dead by now. But their children are there. If the children have been there this whole time, they're no longer Earthlings. They are Marslings. They're Martians. So when I say humans, are they really human or are they Martians? What does human mean? It's a weird question, right? Because we say people from Mars are Martians, people from Venus are Venusians. If they exist or not, we don't know, but that's what we'd call them. If you're from Pluto, are you a Plutonian? Are you a Pluton? I don't know. I don't even know what that would be called. So, alright, so let me ask this. I'm going to ask in a couple different ways here. Have humans ever gone to Mars already? Do I have permission to ask this? Okay, and a yes. Have humans already gone to Mars? Have any humans already gone to Mars is my question. I'm getting a no. Oh, thank God. All right. Okay. All right. So in 30 years, people are going to colonize Mars. How many years will it be before people fly to Mars for the first time? Is it going to be more than 12 years from now? I'm getting a no. How many years will it be when humans fly to Mars for the first time? I'm getting 4, 5. Alright, so in about 5.5 years, humans will fly to Mars for the first time. 5.5 years from now. really interesting. But, I mean, my God, I'm going to be like 81 or 82 years old before humans actually colonize that planet. Very interesting, though, isn't it? Okay. All right, my last question I have, and there's several follow-ups to it. The first one, the 10th question, the first part of this series of questions. Will humans get linked up to the internet with artificial intelligence technology or a chip in the brain to become smarter? That's a pretty big question. I might have to ask it in several parts to get an accurate answer. So I'm going to ask it fully, and then I'm going to change it up a little bit. See if the answers change. All right, God, are you ready? Okay. The pendulum is pointing to the ready position. Okay. Now it's stopped. Okay. Will humans get linked up to the internet with AI technology or a chip in the brain to become smarter? It's neither saying yes or no. It's going to, we're ready for the question. Okay, so again, I said that was going to be maybe too hard of a question, so let me break it down into parts. Will humans get linked up to the internet with AI technology someday? Will humans get linked up to the internet with AI technology someday? I'm getting a no. Okay, let me try again. Will humans get linked up to the internet with a chip in the brain to become smarter? Will humans get linked up to the internet with a chip in the brain to become smarter? It's saying no, but a minute ago it started to say yes in a circle. Now it's doing something else. Now it's going to more information. Now it's going to yes. Now it's doing this thing where it's going back and forth, but also in a circle. In a yes, but in a big way. So it looks like we will get a chip in the brain and hook ourselves up to the internet with that. And yes, it'll make us smarter. So it won't be AI technology per se, though, which I think is good. All right, let me start over. Will humans become smarter because their brains can automatically access the internet with a chip implant? Alright, I'm getting that same kind of an answer where it's back and forth, but also in a circle at the same time. Same kind of a pattern. Okay. Let's see. Let me ask it a little bit more simple. Will humans ever get implants in their brain to become smarter? Answer is yes. Big yes. Back and forth yes. Okay, here's another question. Will humans be able to link their minds to the internet someday directly? Answer is yes. Yes. In a circular yes. Okay. Do I have permission to ask when? Okay, it will be more than 12 years before we get a chip in the brain. I'm getting a yes. how many decades will it be on a clock face where one will be 10 years and two will be 20 years? How many years will it be before humans have access to a chip implant in their brain to help us access the internet and become smarter their brain? I'm saying 25 years. And I'm assuming this is everybody will have access in 25 years. Will Americans have access before 25 years? Yes. Will people from India have access to this before Americans? I'm getting a yes. I have a feeling it's going to come out of India. It's going to be interesting. All right. So, when will people in India be accessing the chip in the brain? Will it be less than 12 years for people in India? I'm getting a yes. It's on a clock face 1 to 12. How many years will it be before people in India can access the internet with a chip in their brain? Cool. I'm getting 11 years. So 11 years. We're in 2021, so it'll be like 2031. Very interesting. And this could be just the timeline we're on now. Remember I said before, we might hop a timeline tomorrow, and now none of this is true. Or we stay in this timeline and it's all true. We could also hop back and forth between timelines as well, and we often do. We usually aren't aware of it though. So, will everybody have access to the chip in the brain? That will help eventually. Will everyone in the world have access to this, where everyone can hook to the internet automatically and be smarter? And I'm getting a yes. So eventually, it looks like we're all going to be okay. We're going to have enough food. Money is not going to become worthless. The coronavirus crisis will end, but not anytime soon. It'll be in 9 months. And write that down. I didn't write that down here. Okay. And what percentage in the world are aware spiritually? What we said, that was like 90%. Which one of these questions shocked you the most? I mean, the answer to. I know some of the questions are shocking, but it's stuff that people have said and speculated on. I mean, there not being any food, and we have to turn to insects to eat. We have to turn to other humans to eat. You know, like, these are the kinds of horrible things I've heard, and none of it's true, guys. God's going to protect us and provide for us. There was in the Bible, there was a story about people who were starving. They didn't know what to do, and they prayed to God for help. And manna from heaven, whatever the hell manna is, or whatever the heaven manna is, it appeared out of the sky, came down, and people ate, and they were fine. I don't think the manna means locusts. I don't think it means, grubs or other humans. I don't know what it is, but it was edible. I mean, I'm hoping it's the form of cake. Maybe it's a new form of chocolate or vanilla. Maybe it tastes really awesome. But there was a story about a couple in rural United States. I want to say it was like in the 1920s, but it might have been before then even. Very, very long time ago, there was a story where these people were on a farm and there hadn't been rain in a very, very long time. The crops they had growing died, and they were really hungry. They were very scared, and they prayed and prayed and prayed. And all of a sudden, a big rain came, and they had a pond that had dried up, I guess, and the pond filled up with water, and then fish rained down upon them from the sky fish and stocked their pond, and then their crops grew, and they never went hungry again because they prayed, they asked. So I think it would behoove us to pray. And again, I'm not a religious person. I am a doctor of divinity. I'm a reverend doctor. So technically I'm a reverend. But I don't believe in organized religion. And my religion is Islam. It's not terribly organized, actually. There's a few events that are organized, but there's no hierarchy. There's no, Pope in charge of everything. Everyone has to answer to him. Nothing like that. But even with that, I still don't like being a part of a greater religion so much. That's my chosen religion, but I prefer spirituality, and I prefer this one-on-one connection I have with God the Creator. That's served me more than anything else ever has. And these questions have been very, very much weighing on my mind. So I'm glad I did the Pendulum Dowsing session today. I'm writing down 30 years for Mars, 30 years. I want to remember these answers. So, all right. I don't think it's going to hurt us. And it would, like I said, started to say, it will behoove us to pray and ask for these things to take place. If we just say, hey, God, please give all of the United States health. Please, God, give everybody in the continent of Africa food. Please, God, give everybody in the Middle East money and food. Just start asking. Or we could just say, instead of singling continents or countries out, we could say, please, God, it would be very wonderful if you could help us all to have enough to eat. Help us all to have enough money to live. Help us all, please, to have health and to eradicate coronavirus from the planet. And please help us in our ascension process. Please help us have universal basic income for everybody on the planet as soon as humanly possible. Or maybe even sooner than that, as soon as godly possible. And please, God, allow Black lives to matter to everybody, especially to the politicians that make the policies. Please allow Black men to make as much as white men in their jobs, because that's fair. Right now, Black men make 10 cents on the dollar for what white men make. That's not fair. We don't like that, because Black lives do matter, and they always will, and we need to even out the playing field. We shouldn't say Black men make this and white men make this. It should just be that men make this much. And it should be even across the board for the same job, right? So, let's see. God, please allow the Black Lives Matter movement to work and be effective and create good, lasting, permanent change for all Black people everywhere. Allow Black people to walk down the street in the United States and not feel fear ever again, because their lives will never be in danger again because of the color of their skin. Please allow that to be the world I live in, God. And I don't even know what you want to pray about, the Mars thing. That was just a strange one that I've been thinking about lately, especially since NASA launched something to Mars. India and China both launched stuff to Mars. Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And people are starting to talk about colonizing Mars. Why the hell they want to, I don't know. No Mars movie ever ended good. They never ended well. So, I mean, I've heeded those precautions. God put me on Earth, not on Mars. I don't want to live there. Ecuador is suiting me fine. I want to stay here. Yeah. Or if Mr. Right came along and brought me to Paris, that would be okay too. But I really feel like Ecuador is a wonderful place to be, at least for now. And as far as the artificial technology or the chip in the brain scenario, in order to hold on to a lot more information in our minds, I don't know if I want that or not. I think I'll let a few people go ahead of me, see what happens, observe them closely, or even at a distance in case. I mean, there's bound to be some glitches, and if Bill Gates is in charge of it, I remember when, Windows crashed a whole bunch of times a few years back. I'd really hate for that to happen to my own brain. So we're going to sit back and maybe watch a few other people be the guinea pigs, and we could assess for ourselves if gain a chip in our brain to automatically link up to the internet and know everything there is to know about anything we think about. It could be interesting. But it shouldn't be forced on us, and we should be able to have a choice. So I guess the good news is with this is that it's going to be possible. I know there's already people lining up going, I want to be the first in line. No, I want the second or third or fourth generation. After the kinks and the bugs are worked out, maybe I'll get a chip in my head. And not if you have to shave the top half of my skull off and the top of my head now is like a hard plastic. I don't like that. No, not at all. So if it's something major like that, then hell no. Hell's to the no. But if it is maybe a little incision behind, say, one of my ears, and no one will know. Once my hair grows back on that part of my head, it won't be obvious at all. But I'll be super smart because I can link up to the internet anytime. That might be interesting. But I also worry about things like, what if my brain decides to do shopping while I'm sleeping and somehow has my credit card memorized? I don't want to wake up in the morning with a knock at the door and a man delivering my elephant. Stampy! Wow, you arrived safely. No, I don't really need a pet elephant. But my brain might. Maybe my brain will do something wild like that. Like maybe I'll open the door and my 200 dresses are being delivered. Or party favors, because I had a dream. I had a fabulous dinner party. Now I've got all these plates and balloons and food arriving. I mean, I am kind of worried about my brain going off and going shopping while I sleep. So I don't know. I mean, I want to see the first, couple generations of people with these chips in their brain first before I get mine. Just like when you take Ambien and you sleep cook, you get up and you go in your kitchen and make loads and loads of carbohydrate-rich foods. You take your sleeping pill often and you wonder why you're gaining weight. You wake up in the morning and there's dishes with spaghetti sauce on them. I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm wondering what the chip would do to you. There might be some side effects or down effects, downward energy effects that you just don't want. Also, can they control it? Also, can hackers hack your brain? There are questions, right? So, I don't mind the idea, but I want to see what happens first. To all the brave people that are going to step up and go, me, put a chip in my brain. I want to be smart. I want to see what happens. So, I don't know if I want to pray about that one or not, but if you do, you can pray about it. If you want to go to Mars, pray about it. There's certain people you want to send to Mars. Pray about that too. I don't want to go to Mars, but boy, my neighbor, she could use a trip to Mars. She could stand living on Mars. Bye. Okay, I'm just kidding. My neighbors are cool. So, I don't know. We are in the fifth dimension. Anything is possible. I'm going to keep an open mind for all these things, but I'm glad to know that we're going to be okay. Let's just pray for food to be with us all the time. The economy is not going to tank as much as we thought. The coronavirus is going to take 9 months to resolve. 90% of the people in the world are awake, so that's probably why coronavirus is taking its own sweet time to leave, because it's actually secretly for our benefit. Always go towards a higher energy, guys. So, the world is not ending. It's not even changing form. It's just moving to the fifth dimension where we already are. And we will get universal basic income in the next 9 years. And yes, the Black Lives Matter movement is worth it and working. And some of us will colonize Mars in 30 years. And some of us will have a chip in our brain. I wonder if those that colonize Mars will have a chip in their brain. And will SpaceX launch a bajillion satellites, Starlinks around Mars too? Most likely, yeah. Crazy stuff. We live in a wild and crazy world, but most of it is for our benefit. And anything you have concerns about, just ask the universe. Dear universe, please deliver universal basic income to my country or everyone in the world. Just ask. The squeaky wheel is the one that gets the grease, right? So be the squeaky wheel, babe. That's it, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. I want to thank you for being on Earth with me at this time, so we could talk about these things and speculate about these things and experience some of the crazier things, from the coronavirus crisis of 2020 to Donald Trump being president. Like, what? I had no idea that would ever happen. A lot of crazy stuff in the world. I'm glad we're here to share and experience it together. And thank you for being on the ascension path and journey with me. And also thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and telling everybody you know about Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, because I'm here to help you. Hopefully I'll help you think about stuff, whether you agree or disagree with me. At least I've got you thinking, right? And I might say something and not even agree with myself the next day or the next year. Who knows? But I like to think about this stuff, and I'm glad that you do too. So thank you for your continued confidence in me, my show, and my abilities. And that's it. I love each and every one of you. I'm really grateful to have you aboard these crazy discussions of mine and the ascension journey again, like I said earlier. But that's it for now. It's been another wild ride. We'll be back again tomorrow with another one. But for now, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Happy August, guys. I wanted to extend to you my birthday special. I was born this month and I wanted to do something for you guys. Normally, my readings are $111 for a tarot reading or a psychic mediumship reading. That means I can basically help you talk to any of your deceased loved ones, your higher self, even God himself, or any of the ascended masters that you've always wanted to have a conversation with. What you need to do is just contact me at mermaidgirl888 on Instagram. Just direct message me and let me know you're interested in having the birthday special $88 reading. That is $33 less than my normal price. And as always, my cloud readings are also available at $33. So there you have it. Happy August. I look forward to hearing from you.